Hey, it's Mr. Rounds with an awkward video for this Friday afternoon to help out some of the students who are having issues with central idea slash theme, same thing. Okay, so this is just going to be a short video to help you guide you through the central idea writing process, how to begin an idea, how to start your essay. So don't be intimidated by the phrase central idea or the word theme. A theme, a central idea, is simply the what you come to understand about human beings, about people, about your family, your friends, your community, your school, your country, the world, people, human beings. What you come to understand about them after you read a book, after you read a novel, or read a short story, or read a poem, or watch a movie, or play a video game. Anything. Themes are everywhere. Themes are interconnected, and again, they are these truths, these ideas that tie us together. So one of the most common themes is this idea here. Just realizing that it's backwards. That life is defined by obstacles, right? You and me, every day, experience obstacles. You wake up late for school because your phone wasn't charged. You get a text from your significant other who's breaking up with you via text message. There's no hot water. There's no more breakfast food. The bus sprays you with water on the way by. You get to school late. You didn't do your homework. Obstacles, 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 obstacles. Life is obstacles. Well, just like life is obstacles, the life of characters in a story or a movie or a video game or a short story or whatever, those characters' lives are also filled with obstacles and challenges. And this is true no matter where you're from or when you live there, whether you're talking about feudal Japan or you're talking about, the explorer age in the Caribbean, or you're talking about, the frozen tundra, or you're talking about the densest jungles of Brazil, or you're talking about, the middle of the ocean adventures of pirates or whaling ships. No matter who you are, whenever you've lived in history on our planet, you've experienced a conflict. So it makes sense that because conflict is such an ever-present part of our day, forever, it makes sense that the stories that humans create, the novels and the poetry and the short stories and the movies we make and have always made, going back to cave paintings, depict, demonstrate, illustrate that conflict. So going back to that really, really basic one, life is defined by obstacles. Well, I'm going to add a little piece to that. I'm going to say, yeah, life is defined by obstacles, but I want you to think about whether or not the character overcomes those obstacles or is defeated by those obstacles, or that the challenge, that obstacle is so great that they have to look within themselves and rise above it. So, I know no one watches Star Wars anymore, right? But the conflict in Star Wars that Luke Skywalker joins this rebellion against this evil empire, it's something that he can't do himself. He is actually in the movie, if you remember, the four of you that'll watch it, he is actually defeated at first. That he is defeated by the empire. It becomes a source of great fear for him. It becomes a source of, he even has this like nightmare on Dagobah about it. It's not until he joins fully with the rebellion and gets the help from Han Solo and Princess Leia and R2-D2 and C-3PO. It's through the help of his companions that he meets those challenges and they blow up the Death Star and save the day. So in that instance, how you're defined or how conflict defines you, sometimes when we meet hardships and obstacles, we require the help of others. Another similar story to that would be Lord of the Rings. That Frodo can't do it alone. He needs Samwise and he needs the Fellowship of the Rings to support him. Other stories, yes, characters do reach within themselves, or sometimes characters just need a mentor. They need a teacher. Sometimes they need a weapon, or they need some kind of gift or some kind of magical spell, a wand. They need just one last piece of the puzzle to to help them overcome that obstacle, that hardship, and save the day. Sometimes those characters do not overcome hardships. Sometimes those hardships are too much for a character to handle. They are defeated by or changed in some way by that obstacle. So this sort of brings us into our analysis of two kinds. The Amy Tan story. The story starts off with this conflict or this idea that Mei Jing has expectations placed upon her by her mother and by herself. And at first, she is sort of happy to play along with these expectations. She, plays along with her mother's little her brain games, and she, gets her hair cut, and she thinks of herself in a way like Cinderella. So she plays along with these expectations that eventually maybe become too much for her. And one of the most difficult things that we can experience in life is not rising to expectations that we set for ourselves or that our parents set for us. So in this instance, then, that obstacle, that challenge that Mei Jing is experiencing, the hardship that all people of all over the world forever experience, Mei Jing is having one of those obstacles thrust before her, and that is the potential for pain, the potential for emotional struggle that comes along with not meeting expectations. So if you're writing the paper, you start off. The central idea of Amy Tan's two kinds is the pain one experiences when they do not meet the expectations of themselves or others. Okay, there's your central idea. You're tapping into this idea of this hardship that Mei Lin is experiencing. She has an obstacle. She has an impediment in the road. She has an issue she has to deal with. Her issue is, how do I navigate these expectations? Now, does she, join up with a resistance and battles against her mom? No. Does she gain a magical power, a magical spell? No. You start to see on page 2 that perhaps even that those expectations are too much for her to bear. That her one ally, who would perhaps be her mother, isn't there for her. So she is changed by expectations. That prodigy side of her says, if you don't find out soon what you're all about, I'm leaving. Well, we never find that Mei Jing is a prodigy. So the idea that the central idea of two kinds is what happens when we do not meet expectations. And in this instance, you start to look at how Mei Jing has changed. You can start talking about the how specific instances in the story that tell you that she is a changed person. So the idea of the central idea, just state it. Just come out and say it, right? On the Regents exam, you're only going to have 40 minutes or so to get your thoughts down. So don't dance around it. Just make your first sentence be the central idea of, and then give the name of the author and the name of the text is, and then say what the central idea is. Remember, it's a central idea, not a central concept. So you can't just say the central idea, the theme is expectations. Because for me and for you and for Mei Jing and for Luke Skywalker and for Harry Potter, expectations take on different shapes and forms. So that's when you have to think about this idea of development, developing a theme, developing a central idea. As a rule of thumb, your central idea, your theme, should never be one word. It should never just be, the central idea is love, the central idea is expectations, the central idea is wisdom, the central idea is friendship. Because you could read one story about wisdom where a character attains some level of knowledge, and that knowledge assists him in some problem, right? He figures out the secret incantation to open the wizard's door and save the princess. Awesome, right? The central idea there is that wisdom can set you free. Wisdom is a tool to unlock all of life's mysteries. You could also read a story where, perhaps a character learns that his girlfriend is cheating on him. He cracks her phone password and finds some terrible text messages. And then in that instance, the central idea is that oftentimes, we're not ready for wisdom. We're not ready for knowledge or wisdom that is ill-gained. meaning knowledge or wisdom that we come through in a devious way, like cracking someone's cell phone, is maybe not, is not the knowledge that we should be after, or the method by which we attain knowledge is important. So wisdom can be same with love, right? For some people, love is transcendent. Love is the way to solve the universe. Love uplifts us out of our darkest hours. For some of you out there, love could be a terrible emotion. Love could be remind you of some bad relationship you had, where your heart got stepped on and smushed into the sidewalk. So love and wisdom and friendship are concepts, but we have to make a thought. We have to make them into a truth, an understanding, an idea about people. So I can't stress this enough. In your topic sentence or two, you're saying, the central idea is, and then you're giving me an idea, not a word, not a concept. You're expressing it. You're developing. So make sure you state it. I shouldn't be leaving your introduction without knowing what you think is what you're going to say is your central idea. Come back to it throughout. So in your body paragraph, you're saying Amy Tan's central idea of the pain caused by unfulfilled expectations is developed using conflict, right? The major conflict in this story, after all, we're talking about expectations. We're talking about not meeting expectations. So that's a conflict, right? You versus yourself, what you want to, what you see for yourself, what you envision for yourself, versus what's the actuality. If you don't have the skill to meet those expectations, what's going to happen? So Amy Tan expresses the central idea of the pain associated with missed and failed expectations using man versus self conflict, where Amy Tan's character Mei Jing experiences physical pain and hardship. She screams into the mirror and she doubts herself, and it puts a rift between her and her mother. You could talk about the conflict between her and her mother. That's another type of conflict. You could talk about man versus fate. Maybe she believes that her destiny is to never be good at something, and that's a crushing feeling to have. So now you're talking about some amazing truths about people, right? That all people, or not all people, but oftentimes, we do feel crushed when we don't meet the expectations we set for ourselves. Maybe we feel like we're not good at anything, that our destiny is to be normal, or to never be a prodigy, that's our fate, that's our destiny, that's something that we can't change. So then you get into your central idea in your body paragraphs and give examples. One example of the man versus self conflict that expresses the theme is when she looks in the mirror. Okay, if you don't want to talk about conflict, you can talk about the symbol of the mirror. I told you not to use mirrors in your work, because oftentimes mirrors can be too symbolic. But it's interesting. This mirror for herself, and go back to the title, two kinds. What is appearing in the mirror? Her actual self and that expected prodigy part, right? So central idea, that's how I say when I say express or supported using writing strategies. Central idea of the pain caused by failing to meet expectations is supported through the use of conflict, is supported through the use of the symbol of the mirror, is supported through the use of, and then you fill in the blanks and you give me the example from the text. So as a rehash, your intro is state the title of the work and say what the central idea is. Say it. Make sure it's a sentence and not or two. Develop it. Make sure it's a sentence and not just a word. Then, in your body paragraph, reintroduce what the central idea is. Be specific, and then go right into your discussion of the central idea is supported through the use of, and then pick your literary term. This is demonstrated, this is illustrated, this is shown on page 5 when, and then you give me the reference to the text. Another time this is shown, give me another example. For the sake of this particular assignment, all I'm really asking for is that central idea part, and then the writing strategy, and then maybe one or two instances from the text that support that. And that's it. That's 2 paragraphs. Okay? So I think a lot of you guys are overthinking, and you're finding it problematic. How do I start? Don't overthink it, right? This is a mathematical formula made into an English lesson. Every single central idea essay you'll ever write, just like every single time you use Pythagorean theorem, starts with the central idea of, fill in the blank, of the text is, tell me what the central idea is, and then you get into your support. And that's it. I'll show you some examples next week. Hopefully some of you guys, some of your own essays I'll be able to use, because it's always helpful to look at each other's work with a critical eye and be respectful of the writing process. And that's it. So I just want to throw this together for you guys out there. Maybe over the weekend you can take a look at this. But again, my big suggestion to you would be don't overthink it. State the central idea, state your writing strategies, and when it comes time to the actual Regents exam, you don't have time to mess around with all this extra stuff. You need to get in there and, like a surgeon, use like a precision, laser guided path through this essay. You don't have time to overthink anything about the essay, because you have to read a text you've never seen before, and then write this essay about it. But if you can cut time with the formula of this essay that I just gave you, cut time overthinking, just get right into your writing, that'll save you a little bit of extra time where you can go back and better annotate the text that they gave you. All right. If you have any questions, email me, and of course, enjoy your weekend.